Hello guys, so this is what we are going to make today, kind of a cast melodic deep techno. So as usual we're gonna go through all elements, starting with the kick. So as you can see, this is a kind of a rolling bass techno kick. So I'm gonna withdraw every effect to see how I did this. So you see I have a very few layers. So I have some top kicks, my main kick, rolling kick, and a kind of a break rumble kick. So starting with the kick. So as you can see, this was made of a 909 sample, most basic one you can find, and take the Ableton one. And first I added a filter with some drive and distortion. So in the sampler you have this filter, you can cut the highs. So I did this because in deep techno usually we don't have much transient, and I added some drive, and you get different types of filters you can try. And then I have to sizzle and cut my kick. So I withdraw the mud. So usually we have some mud around 200-300 Hertz here, and I make it also cut through by boosting a bit the highs. So now I have a nice slow kick. So you gotta make sure you have a good bass, a good sine wave underneath. This is the base of your kick. So then I wanted to still have a bit of transient to make it cut through the mix. So I had some top kicks. You can take any top kick layers or Perc or snares, or even kicks, but you withdraw in the low mids and in the lows, so that it doesn't interfere with the bass phase. And you put it in mono because sometimes you have too much sides and you want a proper, nice and clean kick in mono. Okay, and now I want some rumble or some groove in the bass. So this is optional, but you can add first a rolling pattern like this. So the 16th basic pattern with the same sample. So again, a bit of EQ to withdraw the mud here and only keep the low part, because this is what I want for this track. And the volume is pretty mild. So then I have this break kick. I did it because first I wanted to start a breakbeat track, but I kept it to make some movement and to get more interesting groove in the bass. So this was my kick that I recorded. So everything here, I just took the same kick, and I again withdraw the mud and take only the low part, and of course sidechain. is important. So you see it's just a breakbeat pattern with a bit of velocity to get it more groovy and moving. So you want the sidechain to not interfere in the bass. So now I have my kick, but I need to make it more distorted and to get a rumble. So for this I use this rack. So usually when you have this kind of rack, rumble rack, you have a dry part, a dry signal, so no effect on it. Then you have the rumble, so dry, rumble, and delay part. So for the reverb, pretty simple. So first you sidechain the signal, of course, because you don't want again to interfere in the bass with your main kick. So I use the shaper, but you can use Kickstart, you can use LFO tool, you can use even the compressor. Then you have reverb to get this rumble, so 100%. Low size to get something very compressed and narrow. You want some mass in the bass, so that's why you saturate a lot. So I use the boost and crunch preset of the amp. And I get even more saturation. But that's optional really. That's to make it more drive from it. Then you have the delay, so it's the same process. You got the sidechain, you got your delay 100%, you don't want any dry signal. And then you have your reverb. You have a bit of reverb to get more movement and more space in your delay. You can then choose where you want to put your delay to resonate. A bit of distortion, a bit of auto-pan to make it move also. So you see, I get the drive, I get the saturation, and the thing is a bit more compressed overall. So then I add a bit of erosion. That's optional, but if you want to get a bit noisy, a bit grit over the top of your kick. And then you got everything, you got all the elements, you just need to sizzle and cut the mix, cut the kick to get it tight and go through the mix. So usually I was lacking a lot of highs. And I still got some resonances. So this is what I'm going to working in the final EQing part. So just listen to this. So I got lots of resonances. So usually you got the boxy kick sound. Here. Again, I get rid of the resonances. And same thing here, I did it a bit more. So the best thing is to have the Fat Filter Pro, but I don't have it, so I use several EQs to make to see things more clearly. And the way to do it is just to isolate the resonances, listen to it, and try to cut it and see what happens. But really, it's a precise and detailed work. because you can easily lose the drive, lose the power of your kick when doing too much cut. So actually here it's good. Sometimes it takes some time, and you can go back to your kick even when working on your track to make everything go through the mix a bit more. So this is my kick. Then I got my bass. So this is a classic melodic techno kind of bass. So I think I used the presets, but that I changed a lot. So this was this one at first. The thing here is I added some FM synthesis. So I think at first it was just this. And so this is good. So you get your basic wave here, kind of in the bass. You must have very quick attack, low decay. So you get your envelope that is linked to the low pass filter, so each time there is a note it jumps like this to get and then you can try different styles of sine waves, of waves, so or whatever. I got a bit of compression, some delay to make it again get some space. So make use in the highs. And really that's it. There's not much complication. It's not very complicated. And in terms of pattern, this is basic 16th note, but you have to make sure first to get the right note with your kick. So usually you can do this. You take the spectrum and then you find your note here. You also have the tuner. Sometimes it doesn't work, so that's why it's better to use the spectrum. And so you get this note, you make sure it's the right scale, and then this is a 16 pattern, and you make it move to get that kind of groove and with the velocity. So it's down, up, and you can try different patterns and see what works. Then I have my EQ. So here I withdraw the highs. That was a bit too much. And what's interesting is this zone for the bass. It really gives this kind of vibe. And of course you got a sidechain, so with any compressor or kickstart. So then I have another bass. This is what I call the infinite bass, because this is a polyrhythm. So it's just one note, but you see I put it, this is a polyrhythm because the pattern repeats itself less than 1 bar each time, and so it changed the execution of the bass. And so these kind of polyrhythmic patterns are really interesting because you could just let them keep evolve, and you won't get it's not static, and it's more interesting, and it moves, and you feel like the whole thing is still evolving even if it's still the same note. And so for this I used kind of a acid bass that I found. So you see it's a normal bass note. So again I rerun the mid part, so I use the overdrive, bit of saturation, not too much lows because I don't want too much lows. I already have a lot with the kick, the rumble and my bass, so I don't want it to interfere. And to get really this vibe and this dark and this dark mood, you take the long reverb. So I really love the Valhalla Vintage Verb, crazy reverb, and then sidechain. So then I have my percs. So I already showed you this kind of trick, but I use the grain delay to get interesting notes, interesting dark patterns. So you see, at first it was just some percs, a perc loop. So I use my industrial rack. This is from All You Need Is Live. So usually, basically, it's just a reverb, delay. So this gives some space. There's some saturation. I wanted to keep it mono because, I don't know. And then just put one grain delay and you try. You try and you see if it fits with your track, and sometimes the magic happens, sometimes not. But during this time, I thought just give some groove. You see, and then the sidechain. Then I have my snare and my break loop. So I will start with the snare. So you gotta take I think this is from an older track from me, but you gotta take a snare with some noise. I think I made it with overdrive and some saturation, but here I wanted something very sharp and short, so I withdraw the tail because it's too long. You see, just want something very sharp and tight. So I gotta compress this. I withdraw some resonances. I make it kind of mono because it's the important drum in the rhythmic pattern. A bit of reverb. It's just mild. It's just to make it go through the mix in the right atmosphere, a bit more EQ, because there were too much resonances. But yeah, it's a mix of a snare and a clap and some saturation, so you get some noisy. Then you make it short, you withdraw the redundancies, and just a bit of EQing, and you got your snare. So then I have my break loop. So I use the sample, and it's really choosing the right sound source here, because I didn't do so much treatment. Really, it was just some reverb and sidechain. The groove was really already interesting, and so I just make it go through the mix in the right mood, in the right atmosphere, with some reverb and delay. Alright. So we have here. So then we have our hats. So I have one simple hat. So same thing, it's really about choosing the right sample. So here, same thing as the snare, it's just a short sample, a short hat. And then a bit of saturation to get the noise. You make it cut through the mix, go in the atmosphere of the track with the reverb, and then I make it even more sharp using the EQ. So again, I withdraw the resonancy. And too much highs, and you get this. Then we have the hi-hats. So I think I use again a loop or a hat that I combined, and same kind of treatment. Some reverb, some delay, a bit of mild distortion, and again I use the grain delay to get more interesting texture. So this is more of an ambient hi-hat. And I had different layers of these hi-hats because it's interesting to get it gives this airy vibe and really lots of space. So for this one I used a ride that I've pitched down, and I only kept the transient part. So I think I showed you in the previous video. At first it's a ride, and you can keep only the little transient part here by choosing transient and put it here. And again, lots of reverb to get it hairy. So 3-second reverb, 20 something %, a bit of saturation, some side chaining, and some autopan to make it move, and again to give it more space. And I think I did the same with this one, but I didn't pitch it down, and I got a bit more transient. Again, sidechain and reverb. I have my final hi-hat, but this is more of an ambient hi-hat. And this is again the same sample, pitch down, -4. And again, I think I used, well, no grain delay, but this time even more distortion, even more reverb to get it more airy, and more delay. And I withdraw the highs because it's too much. So this gives a bit of groove in the mediums. So that's it for the hi-hats. Now we go through, I will go through the ARP first. So to get this kind of a dark and melodic pattern, you gotta keep very few notes. The notes are pretty close, and the pattern is quite simple. You just get a bit of variation in the highs at the end of 2 bars. But really, you take your scale, you try a bunch of notes, 2, 3 notes, and I added the arpeggiator to get it more, to be faster. And just some reverb to get again the dark and same atmosphere as the rest. Some sidechain. And regarding the notes, I think I started from the init preset. And so this is a saw wave, and I just so you get a bit of unison to get the space, a bit of FM synthesis. So as I showed you, you take FM from B here, and I took the same wave actually, and this is a very sharp note. Just wanted to make it quick. And same thing, use the envelope to get here the highs when the notes is playing, and again some delay to get even more space. Okay, then I have my vocal, so just to get you can try and find on Splice or find some vocal, but here just took one of the vocal from KSHMR, sounds simple. So again, to get this atmosphere, lots of delay, lots of reverb, auto pan, even a tremolo to make it move, and you can make it moving through the sample. So you see lots of reverb, 20 seconds and half of it, and a bit of saturation. And you gotta make it right with choosing the right pitch. So I was in A, and the sample was in G, so I had to pitch it up. And to pitch it up, since it's a vocal, don't use the beats mode, but use the complex or complex pro. You gotta try which one is better, and you can move the format to get it right. And same thing here. I used the Complex Pro and I tried different formats. So that's it for the vocal. Then we have our chords. So here not much effect, bit of EQ, bit of reverb, and some sidechain. And regarding, I think I used a pad preset, but I change a few things. So you get it to get your pad, you get it, make it evolving really slowly. So you get a slow attack. It's important. You can sync your envelope with the cutoff of the filter. You get some unison because you want something wide with a lot of space again. Some reverb, delay for the space, compressor to make it get through the mix, and some flanger to make it moving. And yeah, that's it. And so for the chords, I started from the root notes. So you start with this. And you try some pattern in the scale. So I use Phrygian scale because it's interesting to get some nostalgic and melodic stuff. Either minor or Phrygian is pretty good. You try a bunch of notes. Starting from the root note, it was A. You go up and down. A bit of variation and at the end, because you have some notes that give some tension and some that release the tension. You see, this one creates some tension. This one releases the tension. And then, so I added +7 chord here. Or it was -7 maybe. So you get the underlying. Here I have only the supporting chords. So this is the it's the same note, it's the A, just to get more lows or mid. But it's you see the velocity, it's less than the root note. And then you got some high notes to make it moving differently. So it's more steady than the other movement, because if too much changes at the same time, your ears and your brain cannot follow the pattern. But here, really, it's just about hearing and trying some things. And you can use also the generator from Ableton 12. It's interesting also. And to get a mild pad like this, it's really about the sine wave, using sine waves. And don't keep the highs too much. Now we have our drone. So this is more for the ambience. I think you can use any kind of sample, because here really what makes it's the grain delay. You see, it's just, you can take a Perc or whatever. It's a 16 pattern, and I just try to put some delays, some movement with the LFO here, some reverb, and really just about trying to put some grain delays and see what happens. And I get something here in the background with the autopan. Then I have my drone. So it feels like voices. So I think it fitted well with the track. But you see, like, this has no sense, just a synth loop, whatever synth loop. So I use the sampler, really important, and you make it go in loop mode. So you see, it's just looping like this, and I make it quickly by changing the... to make it go quickly. So to get a drone, really you just put lots of reverb, and then some auto filters to make it smooth. So I just keep the medium part, and I thought, okay, so that it's too muddy here, so I only keep the high parts, and this was kind of this voice and I liked it, so I kept it. And again, some auto pan to get some space. Okay, and finally we have our effects. All of them were made with the same technique. So you take a bunch of effects, of sweeps, of noises, whatever, and you just throw down some grain delay. So you see I got two, same thing, lots of reverb, lots of delay. You make it moving with the LFO, with the auto filter. You can only keep the mid because you want it to be in the background. Not too much in the mix because there's already lots of things with the drums. You can pitch down the effect, so to make it change. You see here I pitched it down a lot. It was the same sample. I pitch it down differently, so you get different noise from here to here. If you pitch it down -14 here, -8 here, you see. It's a way to have different noise. Here I had it 2 grain delays. Here lots of flanger or phaser to make it move. Again, some grain delay, you just try and see what happens. And everything is sidechain again. And that's it. Alright, so that was it for this tutorial. Let me know if you liked it. Don't hesitate to comment and subscribe to the channel. And if you want more tutorial, let me know what kind of sound you would like me to try and make. Thank you guys. See ya.